Hey, welcome back CNC family. Today I'm going to give you a quick video and show you maybe an easier way to bridge your font that people probably, a lot of people don't know. Maybe some of you do it this way. And I've said it before in other videos, just because I do it a certain way, it doesn't mean it's the only way to do it, and it doesn't mean there's not a better way to do it. But this is just an alternate way to bridge your font that may help some people out. I find it very useful. So I've typed a couple words here out, and I've already converted them to a path and threw a border on it just for visual effect. I haven't differenced it out or anything yet, but first thing I'm going to need to do with this font is add some bridges so the centers don't fall out. Well, the typical way you would do that is come up here to your rectangle tool, select that. I would draw a little rectangle. Normally I would go at least an 1/8 inch wide. For this I'll leave it 200 thousandths wide, a little under a quarter. This font's pretty thick, so I'll bring this rectangle down, and I have my snapping tool turned on here, as you can see. If yours isn't, you can toggle it on and off right here, and that snapping tool will snap that rectangle to the center of that A there. Sometimes that works. One thing to note here too is here are my snapping selections. You can toggle these on and off, but one thing I usually keep on, these here are the ones I find the most important. But line midpoints, that's a useful one. That's what that's doing there, is it's snapping to that line midpoint, so I know that's right in the center of that A. So feel free to use these if you want, these settings here, or you may find them, you may be able to play with them and find something that works better for you, but these are typically the ones I keep turned on. So I've snapped that to the center of that A. I'll duplicate that with Control D. I pull that over here, and see this is snapping to the line, the corner of that rectangle, so I know that's lined up perfectly. That's easy. So then I would path union those two together, and then I would select my font, all of it, and I can path difference, no problem. On your font that's vertical like this, it's pretty easy to snap them in there and get them just right. The problem I find, and I see a lot of people doing, is now I'll draw another box, call it 200 thousandths. You come up here and you have font that's on a curve, or it's not flat, it's not perfectly vertical. Now I've got to sit here and play this game, maybe turn my snapping off, and I've got to try to finagle this around and get it just right, and get it close to lined up. Maybe it's perfect, maybe it's not. For me, if you have OCD, that's just not acceptable. I want that bridge to be perfectly lined up with that vertical leg right there, or that letter, which it isn't perfectly vertical when the font's curved like this. So the trick I do, and hopefully this will help some of you out, is for bridges on letters like this that are curved and they're not straight up and down, I come over and use my pen tool, turn my snapping back on, and what I'll do is I'll snap here, like on this D, and then I just right click to end that line. Now I've made a line that's perfectly aligned with that leg of that D. And now what I can do is I'll come over to my fill and stroke tool, go to the stroke setting, and I'll set my stroke to the width I want, which was 200 thousandths. Hit enter. Now my stroke is 200 thousandths wide. Now I just go path, stroke to path. Now I can grab this rectangle and bring it down, let it snap to this line, anywhere on this line, and I know that this rectangle, this bridge as it will be, is perfectly lined up with this leg of that D. And you can go around the rest of your drawing, do the same thing, add that there, change that to 200 thousandths, path, stroke to path. Once you convert it to a path, then you can bring it over, let it snap to the line, and that's how you can work around this font and get your bridges perfectly lined up with the legs of these letters when they're on a curve and they're not perfectly straight up and down like that. So once again, I'll do 200 thousandths, and then I'll go click off 200 thousandths, enter, and then path, stroke to path. Grab this one, let it snap to that line. And then on the A, I could use my snapping and go to the line midpoint. Or if you want, you could go off this leg and run it that direction. Either way, it's going to be nice and straight. I can snap to the midpoint, or I can snap that way. I'll show you both ways, actually. Here, I'll change that to 200 thousandths. And then path, stroke to path. And then I'll bring this right here, snap that to that line, and I could cut that A that way, or alternately, I could grab my pen tool, snap here, and here, I can change that to 200 thousandths if I want the bridge to be right in the center. Now here's the problem: when I convert this to path, that's going to cut into that A kind of weird. So on one like this, if that's what I were going to do, I would come over here to my node tool after snapping that, come somewhere like here, add a node, then highlight that node and backspace, delete it. Now I can convert that to a path, path, stroke to path, and I know that that bridge right there is lined up right in the center where I want it. So once you've got all your bridges made, you've stroked the path on all these, path, union, and then simply select your font, path, difference. So that's another way of adding your bridges in there, so you don't have to play the game with the little box trying to get it lined up right. It's faster, I find, once you get a little practice with it. You know, of course, once you're done, you'll want to go around. Even though you have those lined up perfectly, sometimes you'll get a little stray like that when you're cutting through the A's like that. If I'd have went the other way, it wouldn't have been there. But you just go around, clean up your nodes, and you're done. The nice part here too, anytime you cut a letter like this, anywhere that rectangle touches or where your former path used to meet, you're going to end up with nodes, so you're going to want to come around and clean those extra nodes up. But anyway, hopefully that helps some people out. That's another way of adding bridges to your font that I find much easier than just drawing a box and haphazardly trying to drop it in there. When you do that with the stroke and you use your snapping tools, you'll be able to line your bridges up perfectly every time. Hopefully that helps some people out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, also worth mentioning, I guess, I didn't have this font differenced out of the main body there. So lastly, after I bridged all my font and you've done your cleanup, you would want to select both and path difference. That was probably went without saying, but I just wanted to tack that on there. Once again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.